What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we'll be hunting through $25 worth of customer-wrapped pennies. Now, I checked the enders and weighed a couple of rolls, and I can tell you already, this is going to be a huge copper dump. Hopefully, there's a bunch of Wheaties in here, and hopefully, if we get lucky, maybe even an Indian head or two. I've only ever found one Indian head on this channel, and I don't find a lot of Wheaties, but I'm very, very hopeful today with all the copper that looks like might be in these rolls. So before I laid these things out, I did get them all on the scale. If you watch my channel, you guys know I'm a big, I wouldn't say a fan or proponent, but one of the things I do, especially with customer wrapped rolls, is I do weigh them just to see if I'm going to be shorted or if they're going to be over. And in pennies, I do have a chart and a document that I have in the description down below that covers everything that I hunt when I coin roll hunt. And it will tell you, based on the weight of the roll, how much copper you should find in each roll. And all but these top 6 rolls weigh about 153 or 154 grams, which means they should be entire rolls of copper. These top 6 rolls weighed light, so those will definitely be a surprise, but we won't know what's in these rolls till we get them open. I really do hope we find some good old stuff. So with that said, enough of me talking. Let's get into the rolls. I figured I'd bring you in for this first roll since I know it's kind of a traditional roll of pennies. I'll fast forward if there's nothing too interesting in there, but I did want to show you that this roll weighs 132.9 grams, and if I look at my document as a reference, at 132.9, we should have somewhere between 10 and about 12 copper pennies in here. Assuming it's a copper, assuming it's a full roll of pennies, assuming there's nothing else crazy stuffed in here, and assuming this paper isn't just excessively heavy to throw the weight calculation off. So what I thought I would do is just get these pushed out on camera, do a quick spread to see if there's any kind of wheat penny or anything in here, and then I will stack them up and see how close we were to guessing or calculating the number of wheat pennies we would have in the roll. So I don't see any wheat pennies jumping out at me. Let me stack these up and let's see how many coppers we actually got. So we are done sorting through the roll. I checked everything for DDOs and DDRs and no FGs and floating roofs and all that. But we did end up with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 coppers. So the weight was pretty dead on. I said between 10 and 12, and it was 11 in that very first roll. So I know when I get to a roll that is, like I said, 153, 154, that's going to be an entire roll of copper. So that said, I'm going to start digging into the rest of these things, and hopefully we find some cool stuff to bring you in on. So quick update, we went through those first 6 rolls. We've got a handful of stunners. I just pulled a 1959D up here because I only found one of those. But we got some stunners. I've got some potential zinc upgrades. There's about 8 of them up here, 2, 4, 6, 8. These are all zinc pennies that could be upgrades of my penny books, which we'll get to at the end of the video. Outside of that, in those 6 rolls, we had $1, and I think I had 10 or 11, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So $1.11 outside of those of zinc pennies and those first $3 worth. I have a feeling the rest of this is all going to be copper. I'll open a couple on camera just so you can see them come out. And hopefully we find some wheat pennies. I'll be real disappointed if this is all 59 and up, but it very well could be. Okay, well, like I said, I'm going to grab one of these red rolls just because I always love these. I always think they're going to be older rolls, but that's not always the truth. And just so you guys keep me honest here, we'll talk about weights one more time. We'll throw those on there. 155.5 grams. That's a whole lot of copper. I would love to be wrong and say this is all going to be, 10th ounce gold coins, but that's never going to happen. Be wonderful if it did, though. Come on. Looks like we may have some stunners in here, too. Let me just grab a couple. I got a 1964. It's got some damage on it, but that's a really nice, that would grade red, right? We've got a bunch of that kind of stuff in here. So 1968, 1964, 1969, 1970. So we may have some upgrades for our books just in the stunners. Just quick cursory look, this is all copper. I don't see wheat pennies in here, but like I said, I'll bring you in if we find any. With that said, let me get through these. I'll check for errors. So I wanted to bring you guys in, just give you a quick update. I went ahead and just kind of blast opened, I don't know if it was probably like 7 or 8 rolls. And this is all copper. It's not sorted in any particular, or actually it's all copper. It's not sorted in any particular order. It's just all the sort of brown copper. And what I've put aside is all the stuff, not all of it is stunning, but all of it is more, if it were gradable, would grade red, and a lot of people would call any of these kind of stunners. Most of them are really, really nice looking pennies. I haven't hunted any of them for errors or varieties just yet, but just wanted to bring you in to give you an idea. I think I found 3 zinc pennies in those 8 or 9 some odd rolls, 7, 8, 9 rolls. So this is what we're looking at. It is a ton of 59s through about 74s. So it's not a lot to show you, but it's a ton of copper. So as you can see, I've put a dent in these rolls. I have still been stacking up the copper here to go through, looking for varieties. I still have all my stunners to go through. I'm kind of saving those for the end because if we do find varieties here, this is where the real value would be because the condition's going to be better. And basically what I'm doing is as I'm going through these stacks, I'm stacking them up based on their year and mint mark so that it's just easier. I have like one split, like I'm looking for the DDO here or the DDR here, and I'm not having to keep flipping my brain back and forth between what I'm looking for. Right now I'm going through my 69Ds. There is a no FG that PCGS recognizes, and I wanted to pull you in so you saw it under the scope. It's questionable. You can see I've got a little bit of raised metal there where there's supposed to be an FG. I can't make out an F or a G. So I'm curious from you guys, is that little bit of raised metal enough that it would not be considered a no FG, or is this just, my imagination? But that's the closest I've come so far to finding a variety. So I'm still on my 1969Ds. I have another one here under the scope. Just so you can see there, that is the 69D. Let me flip it over. It's another no FG, at least as far as I can tell. It's not a great looking coin. It's missing a lot of detail, and again, there's just one little kind of metal artifact there where the FG should be, but I do not see an FG, and it looks like it's a floating roof. So you can see there's no connecting line, so I'll call this a find as well, and we'll keep on hunting. So I was just sorting through roll 23, and I've gone through tons and tons of copper, but this is the first wheat penny, and it did come up reverse facing. Let's see here. It is a 1951D. So out of, I think it's, what did I just say? Like 27 rolls of copper pennies, more or less. This is my first wheatie. Super excited. Sorting through roll 29, and like I said, I'm just going through and stacking up my copper and getting my stunners put aside. But going through it, we found another wheat penny. So pretty cool. Let's see here. It's a 1957 Denver. 2 wheat pennies. If I did my math right, I think we just got roll 33 open to sort it into, again, our 2 piles of copper, and we had 2 wheat pennies in this one. The first one there, go dropping them. First one was a 1958 Denver, and the other one was a 1958 Philly. Both in pretty bad condition. I think I have both of them in my book, but still nice to finally find some wheat pennies amongst all this copper. So going back through my second sort to look for errors, I came across another wheat penny that I apparently missed during the first sort, and it is a 1952 Denver. So I did skip over at least one. It was kind of beat up. It was another 1958D, and we'd already seen it. But so that's puts us up to 6 wheat pennies on this crazy copper box. So I am nearing the end of these pennies, and I'm not going to lie, this has been way harder than I thought it would be. I've still got these brown coppers to go through. I still have all of my red coppers to go through, and I'm going through my last batch of 1966s. And I have 2 pulled aside that I wanted to show you guys. One I think is just sort of a regular one. One I believe is the DDO. I'm definitely not an expert at pennies, so I value the coin community's opinion. Let me know in the comments down below if you think I'm crazy. but let me show you something I have under the scope. Okay, so the first 1966 that I have under here, just to show you guys, there is the 1966. This, I believe, is the regular one. I'm just showing you the God and the we. I think it's true what I'm about to show you all the way around. This one, I believe, is possibly the DDO. And the DDO on the 1966 says that it has light spread on the date and In God We Trust. And I think this is just thicker lettering all the way around. And the date is just a little bit more rounded and a little bit more bold. That's kind of my evidence right now. What I do want to show you, though, and I've got two things here. I'm going to try to do this one-handed. I've taken some screenshots of the two so you can see them kind of sitting on top of one another. And you can see that one is decidedly larger than the other. So I think this is the DDO, and this is just a regular one. Now, this could be caused from mint damage. It could have been flattened due to wear. Honestly, I'm not sure. And I did the same thing with the date. And you'll see here, that I think is the DDO date, and that's the regular date. And it's subtle, right? I mean, the variety description says that it is light spreading. So the only thing I can think of is with that light spreading, it's a little thicker and a little more rounded. But maybe I've just looked at like 2,500 copper pennies and I'm losing my mind. So again, let me know in the comments down below. I do have one other cool 1966 that I found, and it is a lamination break or a die crack, one of the two. Let's see here. And the penny's in horrible condition, but look at this thing. It goes all the way through Lincoln's Head, all the way down through Liberty, and off the edge of the coin. I have no idea if there's any value in it, but it's kind of a cool find. It's something I'm definitely going to keep. I'll flip up, but this thing is just literally broken. So pretty cool stuff there. If you think there's value in this one, let me know, again, in the comments down below. So we are coming towards the end of it. I've finally sorted all the stuff that would grade kind of red to red-brown. It was the really nice stack that I had over here. So if we do find any varieties, that'll be a little bit special. It'll probably command a bit more premium because they're just nicer pennies. I did finish counting up all the zinc because I did find a few zinc that snuck their way into that kind of red pile. We have $1.31 worth of zinc. That means everything else in that $25 was copper. And just copper value alone, this was a winner. I've gone ahead, sorted all the red stuff by year, and anything on the top row is Philly. Below that would be Denver. Same thing as we go down here. So this is our 63Ds, our 64s, 65, 66, 67, 68 Philly and Denver, 69 Philly and Denver. And then when we come down here, it actually starts at 70. So 70, 71, 72, 73, 74s, 5s, 6s. And then I got a couple of just random ones from later years, 78, 79, and there's 80, 81, and 82s. Just a couple of those. So most of the red stuff was from 63 up through about 76. So I'm going to go year by year getting this under the scope, and hopefully we find something to bring you in for. Otherwise, we just have those couple of wheat pennies and a couple of cool varieties that we found so far, and an incredible copper haul. So let me get these things under the scope. So we are literally getting towards the end of this hunt. I really just have to get through the 63s, the 64s, and the 65s. I did want to stop here. I do have one 1966. I'm actually going through those right now. And there is a DDO and there is a DDR on the 1966. And this one is a beautiful red penny. Under the scope, you can see some black spotting and stuff, but to the naked eye, it's gorgeous. I have here what looks like traditional machine doubling. Because it is stair-stepped, it's a sharp edge. And it is on a lot of the lettering. It kind of starts over here on the S for states, and you can see it there on the sort of the right-hand belly of the S, on the belly of the D, the E and the T. You can see all that. But what intrigued me was the U. It looks really, really weird. It's like there is another U underneath there. I don't know if just some metal broke, maybe in the minting process, and that's why it looks funny, but I wanted to get this on camera just so you guys could see it. If there's anyone in the community that knows what that is, let me know. I don't believe it is a DDR, just because it has so many markers of being a machine doubling. I'm just curious what you guys think. All right, back to the pennies. Okay, so we have reached the end of the hunt, and I tell you guys, this was a tough, tough hunt. I do boxes of pennies. I wouldn't say all the time, but frequent enough. I mean, I get through a box of pennies typically in like 3 or 4 hours. This I've been working on a little bit every day for the last 3 or 4 days. It just, when, you know, I think I ended up with about $1.40 or something, $1.38 worth of zinc. The rest was all copper, pretty much from 59 all the way up through the, I'm trying to think, I did have some that got into the 80s, but the big bulk of them kind of stopped in the mid 70s. And there's just a ton of errors in those copper cents, which is great from a hunting perspective, but it also means I probably put 2,000 pennies under the scope. And that's just a lot of pennies to scope. I did roll up all the nicer copper, and when I say nicer copper, this is all just stuff I left out so you could see it. I've probably got, what is that, 3, 6, 7, 8 rolls of stuff that kind of looks like this or very similar. Right? Let me zoom in here a little bit. Just beautiful, beautiful copper cents. Yes, they might have some black spots or whatnot in them, but for the most part, they look like they're high AU to maybe low mint state. A lot of these things, just gorgeous, gorgeous pennies, which means I also got a lot of upgrades for my book. But like I said, I've got all those, and I kind of try to do them a little bit by year or bulk of year. We did have a couple of cool finds outside of our wheat pennies, which I'll get to. We had 2, and I brought you in for these already, but we had 2 1969 Denvers that I believe one of them had the floating roof and the no FG, and one of them I believe was just a no FG. We did have a 66 with a really good lamination error. You can see this without any major magnification across Lincoln's head there. I don't know the value on this, but I'm going to look this up. This is kind of a neat coin. And that lamination crack is pretty bad across the coin. So if you know what that's worth, you know, if there's, you know, is that $1 or $2, or is that like $20 or $30? I have no idea. And then we had this one 1966. Again, I brought you in and put you under the scope for this one. It very well could be a DDO. It definitely had some spreading and some thickness to all the lettering. Again, let me know in the comments down below. I brought it up earlier in the video. And then towards the tail end, I did find one of the nicer red pennies, 1966, that had some, what I believe to be machine doubling. You guys, if you think differently, let me know. I honestly don't think it's a double die, but that U looked like it had some either post-mint damage or possibly part of a double die on it, but the rest of it all looks like machine doubling. From there, we did get into your traditional wheat cents, and none of these are going to be book fillers or upgrades, but we had a 51D, we had a 52D, a 57D, a 58, and a couple of 58Ds. So considering we had so many rolls of copper, that's not a lot of Wheaties to find. And I did just pull to keep count all the 59 Ps and Ds. They were checked for the varieties, and we didn't have any. What I do have down here, though, is all upgrades for the book. None of these were book fillers, but we have upgrades from 63D all the way up through, let's see here, I'm just kind of showing you all of them. I'm not going to call them all out. But as I said, I had a bunch of the nicer ones up through kind of the early to mid 70s. And then my 80, 83 and 84, sorry, I had those out of order. They're just upgrades for my book because the ones I had in there weren't very nice. So I'm going to spare you guys this video. Is probably, I mean, I've taken a lot of video. I don't know how much I'm going to use, but I don't want this to be too long. And you guys watching me pop pennies out of the book and sticking them back in is probably not that exciting. And as I said, none of it's book fillers. It's all just upgrades. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're a coin person or you're a penny person, I mean, I really enjoy getting all the copper. Let me just show you. I've got my little bin down here. That whole $500 box plus those rolls, that's all copper. So I have a ton of copper. And like I said, I'll throw the value of that up on the screen here. Outside of that, if you enjoyed this one, let me know. Drop down below, click that like button. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and please click on that subscribe button. Click on that little bell so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. Let me know what you think by leaving a comment. And I hope you guys are doing well. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.